Welcome to Coffee with Coach. Ever wonder why people stopped attending worship over the past 10 years? One of the biggest reasons attendance went down in many churches is we simply stopped communicating with our people. The church newsletter died, and many churches decided not to replace it. So, how should we communicate now? Stick around, and I'll tell you on Coffee with Coach. I'm Steve Petty, and I have 3 goals for these videos: to help you become a better pastor and leader, to save you time and money, to help educate, motivate, and energize you to motivate and energize your church. If you find these videos helpful, I hope you'll subscribe. You can click the button over there. And if you have questions or comments, you can add them below or email me at steve@revstevep.com. It's been a long time since we invited people to attend something live. Many churches have forgotten how to do that. Is your church maximizing your potential? Or are you assuming that everybody already knows everything? When I said earlier that newspapers died, newsletters, I was including both the newsletters that just stopped publishing. Many churches stopped publishing newsletters. It got expensive. Postage was expensive. Paper was expensive. Printing was expensive. Nobody wanted to fold them. Nobody wanted to mail them. And we found out nobody was reading them. So a lot of churches just stopped printing newsletters. But the ones that did get printed were bad. They were so boring. They're poorly printed, poorly written. They were redundant, said the same things every week. Many people just stopped reading them, which is another reason that people stopped printing them. So, if that doesn't work, what are the 4 best ways to communicate the wonderful, exciting, fun events at your church? Well, I'll give you 4. First of all, announcements in worship. I mean, this seems painfully obvious, but a lot of churches do announcements really poorly. Announcements, you should never do more than 3 announcements on Sunday morning. And you can have a layperson do that. You can have the liturgist do that. When you have an important thing that you want everybody to know about and attend, it really helps if the pastor makes that announcement, having not made the other announcements. When the layperson can say, oh, and then there's the spaghetti dinner, which I want Pastor John to talk about. Pastor John gets up and talks about what a wonderful event this is going to be and how everybody should come to the dinner. That makes an impression. That sticks in people's mind. Announcements at church are one way to reach people. But think about it. If your attendance is only about 30% of your total membership, then when you announce on Sunday morning, you're only reaching 30% of the people. And you're reaching the 30% of the people that probably already know. So how do we reach the other people? Number 2, emails. Emails can go out to everybody that has a computer or uses a computer. So there's different ways to do email. The first way is to do a church newsletter on email. It has to be catchy. It has to be fun. It has to be well written. It has to be colorful. Short articles, pictures, things that people will want to see, and links to everything back on your website. Plus, I used to send out a blast on Fridays. So Mondays would be the church newsletter. And then Fridays would be a special newsletter that was very, very short, 1 page. It just reminded people about what was going on this weekend. It's the What You Need to Know for the Weekend newsletter. And it, again, had links in it. It didn't have long articles. It was short and pithy and fun and pretty. But it told people, this is what's coming up this weekend. You may have forgotten, but this is what's on Saturday. This is what's on Sunday. Please make sure to come. And it always talked about what special event, what special thing was going on in Sunday in worship. The choir had a special anthem. There's a special presentation to Sally. The Girl Scouts are going to do a bake sale. Whatever else is going on, it talked about that so that Sunday seemed special and you wanted to come. Also, remember when you're sending out emails that if you're reaching out to younger families and children and youth, you might need to send out a tweet that says, please come. This is a cool thing that's happening this weekend. Thirdly, you have to have digital locations anymore. We used to think location was important for your church. You wanted to be on a downtown street corner. You wanted to be on a high plane where people could see you. You want to be on a hilltop. You want to be next to the freeway. Physical location was important. Well, digital locations are just as important. Have you looked at your web page recently? I cannot tell you how many times I go to a church web page and I find that the last thing that was added to the web page was Easter 2 years ago. That's not helpful if you're a new person wanting to attend. That's not even helpful if you're a member and you know what's going on. Easter 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago. As far as everybody else knows, your church didn't raise. So what are you going to do? You're going to have a web page that, again, is fun, colorful, bright, informational. You're going to tell people who have never been there how to find their way from the parking lot into the sanctuary. You're going to tell people who have been there many, many times why this Sunday is a special thing that they really need to come for. You're going to have all of that on your web page. Every week it's going to be updated. It's going to be current. It's going to tell people this is exciting. And when you send out those digital emails, they're going to have links to those exciting things so people can get the full details of that event on the website. Sometimes you can't put all the details in an email. Your community pages, your Facebook page. There's many, many different places that churches can be online now than there were before. You don't have to just have your web page. You want to have a Facebook page that you update regularly. You want to have a community page where it talks about your local community. So you want to have somebody editing that and sending in that on a regular basis. Clearly, these have to look like 2021. They can't look like 1995. I've been to some websites recently that look like they were written in Netscape. They're that old. They're that bad. If I'm a new young person and I look at that website, I'm going like, okay, this is being maintained by somebody in their 80s. And they built this thing 30 years ago. So maybe that's not the church that I want to go to. No, it's got to look current. It's got to look up to date. It's got to use the latest techniques. It's got to use the latest information. It has to look like today. And you must have pictures. Pictures of happy people doing fun things. A church website that has no pictures and no people says, well, we have a website. Wouldn't you like to come? There might be people. No. You have to say, these are some of the people you might see on Sunday morning. They're attractive, fun, beautiful people that you would want to come and worship with. The website needs to look like your congregation. One year I even had church members do testimonials, just 30-second things we did after church. People could walk out and say, this is why I love this church, because blah, 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 blah. We have those testimonials on our website. If this is your first time, this is what somebody says you might enjoy when you come. Testimonials from happy, smiling people who love your church are a great way to invite people. Fourth, a printed newsletter. I would still print a newsletter. I realize it's expensive, but if you just sit down and say, who are the people who don't have email? Who are the people who don't have computers at home? Who are the people we really need to be mailing to? There's probably 20 or 30 people in your congregation you need to reach out to. And so if you take just the blast that you mail on Fridays and print that up early, so this is going to get printed on Tuesdays and it's going to get sent out in the mail. You're going to put it in an envelope and you're going to put a first-class stamp on it, and you're going to send it out to those 20 people who don't have communication devices. And they're going to appreciate that you are still reaching out to them. And they may send a check, they may come when they are able, but they know that this is their church and you're reaching out. You're making the attempt. You put in the essential information that's going to go out on the Friday blast, and you make sure that it's colorful. Maybe there's a picture of something that went on last week, but you mail it on Tuesday and you get it in people's boxes by Friday. Now, I'll give you a freebie. Really old school? A phone tree. Once you've identified those people who don't get electronic communications, sometimes you can get 3 or 4 people who are willing to make phone calls. You can call and say, these are the things we want everybody to know this weekend. And those people can call 2 or 3 people and get the word out on a phone. Real old-fashioned, but you'd be surprised. A human voice calling people to tell them, this is what your church is doing this weekend. It really makes an impression. And it says, you're important. We're reaching out to you. A phone tree. Old school, but it could be really important to those people who, in fact, are old school. So there you go. 4 ways plus 1 to reach out and communicate with people and tell them what's going on in your church today. Make sure that they're current. Make sure that they're bright. Make sure that they're colorful. Make sure that they're up to speed electronically and up to speed in terms of the digital revolution that we're all a part of today. If you do those 4 things and you reach out, I'll bet you can reach about 99% of your congregation. And that's what you want to do. Communicate and say, your church loves you. We hope you can come and attend with us and share the joy and the love of Jesus Christ with your community of faith. Next week, I'm going to start a 4-part series on finances. We're going to talk about all the things you need to know about putting together a finance campaign, building a budget, things that you probably haven't thought about, but are critical to raising money and making stewardship a primary part of your church. So watch for those coming in August. 4 things about church finances. That's it for me for Coffee with Coach. Again, if you like the videos and you want to subscribe, click that little red button and stay tuned. There's more coming.